What's up, guys? I'm doing my video review on the Motorola Moto Z unlocked version, which is the XT1650-3, which is going to be identical to the Moto Z Droid Verizon's version in virtually every way except network compatibility and apparently software updates. And we'll get to that in just a little bit. As far as the specs go, it's got the 5.5 Quad HD display, Snapdragon 820 processor, Adreno 530 graphics processor, and 4 gigabytes of RAM, which is pretty standard fare for the upper mid-range flagship phones these days. Once Nougat is available for the phone, now bear in mind it is January 21st. The Verizon variant has had Nougat for like 2 months, and unfortunately Lenovo apparently is now in charge of development and software updates, whereas a couple years ago, even when Lenovo first took over, it seemed Motorola had their stride going where they'd get out updates pretty quickly. Unfortunately, all that's changed. I guess Lenovo is exerting their influence, and now only the Verizon version has Nougat, which they've had for 2 months, and unfortunately the unlocked version is still waiting. So no Daydream compatibility quite yet, although I hear it is upcoming. But it's actually contrary to most ways that other manufacturers do. Usually the unlocked versions get it first, and then after carrier approval, the carrier versions will get it. So Lenovo is really mixing things up, which is unfortunate. Now, as far as Android on Motorola, I think Moto's take on Android is second to none. It's really a good implementation of Android. Their Moto suite, the drive mode, being able to wake up and assign your own wake up phrase. It's all top notch, and it's been that way for quite a while with Moto. And unfortunately, I do expect that to go down as Lenovo keeps asserting their influence. But as it stands, typically I love Moto's implementation. It's top notch in virtually every way. I mean, I don't care for the chop to turn on the flashlight, and I'd like to see a survey how many people have launched their phones across the room trying to turn on a flashlight late at night or early in the morning, or maybe after a few cocktails. But just not a big fan of that. Would have liked to have seen that go on a different way. But overall, my favorite skins on Android are the Moto suite and OnePlus's Oxygen OS on Android are both my favorite non-stock implementations. So what you get with this phone is you get the charging block, which is attached to the charging cable. So there's no way to transfer data right out of the box. You're going to need to get yourself a USB Type-C cable to USB. You have a 3.5 millimeter to USB Type-C, which means, yes, this phone does not have a headphone jack, unfortunately. You get a bumper and a wood tone back. Now, this is for accessibility, in my mind, to make it easy to get to your Moto pins. Not very good for protection. I actually put these on first thing as soon as I got the phone. Unfortunately, I dropped it, but fortunately onto carpet from a little higher than waist height, and the back popped off completely and the bumper came off most of the way. So if this had been a drop on concrete, my brand new phone would have been disfigured for life. I recommend something like this, which is a Spigen case. It keeps the same basic design language of the bare phone by having a shiny carbon fiber type feel on the outer edges and regular TPU covering the rest of the phone, which kind of is like how the phone is, because you do have your glass edges on the lateral edges here, aluminum on the sides, and Gorilla Glass up front. Overall, the design of the phone is really nice. It's got a great feel to it. It's super thin, one of the thinnest phones to date, if not the thinnest still. You have your Moto Mod connector pins on the back. But this phone, construction-wise, is fantastic. Unfortunately, software-wise, like I said, still waiting on Nougat, and I don't get why. but it compares very well to the two flanking phones, which are significantly cheaper as well, unfortunately. This Axon 7, which is one of my favorite picks for bang for your buck. I'm actually shooting this video on the other choice for most bang for your buck, which is the OnePlus 3. This is actually the OnePlus 3T, but both of these phones considerably less expensive than the Moto Z, and also the HTC 10, which is still cheaper and arguably one of the best cameras on the market, which brings me to the camera on the Moto Z. This was one of the greatest disappointments for me on this phone. This camera is not a great shooter. The Moto Z and the Moto Z Droid are both going to be using the IMX214 camera sensor. Now, this camera sensor is in, or has been used in the OnePlus One, the original OnePlus One, the Honor 6, and the Moto Nexus 6. All these phones were actually not known for their great camera 2 years ago when these phones were announced and released. Compare that to the Moto Z Force, which is the next step up in the Moto Z line this year. The Moto Z Force, the Verizon exclusive, unfortunately, uses the IMX230, which was in last year's Honor 7 and last year's Moto X. So it's a 1 year newer processor than the one that's in this, but still, it's a year old. It doesn't really hold up to the HTC 10 or the OnePlus 3T for camera stills. And as a matter of fact, the Axon, which uses an ISO in my opinion, I've had better results with the Axon than I have with the Moto Z, and the Axon is $399. So significantly cheaper and shoots much better stills, in my opinion. So getting on to what makes this phone so appealing, and that is Moto Mods. So who doesn't like the idea of a modular phone? It sounds really, really cool. You could just take a phone, slap on a mod, and make it more than the phone was initially. So there you go. Once you connect it, it connects, it knows it's there, and start using it right out of the gate. The only problem is, it does seem really cool until you actually start using it. For me, anyway. I am not a fan of Moto Mods. Now, just to put things in perspective, this phone is $700, $699. You can get it currently on Amazon for $499. It's been that way since before Christmas and still is $499 last time I checked yesterday. But am I going to want a speaker that I'm going to want to attach and then keep it attached to the phone? This is $90, $89.99. I bought this at Best Buy. This is a mini jam box, which is, yeah, you know what? It's a little bigger, but I don't need to attach this to the phone. I can put this wherever I want, still use the phone independently, start playing music, move on to other applications, have this facing wherever I want for optimal audio direction. Whereas this is going to be attached to the back. So what do I turn this on and turn the phone away from me so the speakers are playing for me, or have the speakers play away from me? That just doesn't seem to make much sense to me. First off, you're going to get better sound with this. Don't get me wrong, I love JBL, but this is a small speaker. Small speakers have their limitations. One of my favorite speakers is a JBL, Bluetooth speakers is JBL speaker. JBL makes excellent stuff. I just don't see the point of slapping this on the back of my phone. And once I attach this, I'm not going to be throwing this in my pocket. I'm going to be unattaching it, reattaching it, unattaching it. Most people are not going to throw on this mod and keep it in their pocket. It's not. It makes it so less more pocketable once you throw this on it. So if I'm going to carry this separately, I might as well carry this. So I don't get the Moto sound mod. I mean, it does sound really good. It sounds a little bit better than the standard Axon front-facing speakers, which is, if you saw my review on the Axon, this is a great sound for a cell phone. I mean, I think it's the best cell phone sound I've heard right out of the phone yet. But this will be better than that. But now you're also now doubling the size of what this super thin phone was. Actually, more than doubling. I mean, if you look at the profile of this compared to the profile of this now, it's huge. And this takes it now out of the pocketability range, in my humble opinion. So, do you want to carry this around? Or do you want to carry this around? This you can put anywhere, and this you got attached to the phone and have it firing away from you if you're going to do it like that. So, I just don't get the Moto Mods. Initially, I thought they were pretty cool, but in practicality, no. I'm not a big fan. Then you get to the camera sensor. Now, the camera mod, I should say, the Hasselblad camera mod. Now, Hasselblad is a big name in cameras for sure, but this was slow to focus, slow to take a picture, and once you take a picture, slow to process that image now through the phone, throwing it onto the internal memory of the phone. It also comes with the case because they know you're not going to be keeping this attached to the phone. So now, do you want to carry this around for, what is it, $260? Or do you want to carry this around? This is going to be a lot more pocketable than this. This is going to take a faster picture, in my opinion, also take a better picture, and you also have now redundancy. If I'm carrying this on my phone and I drop my phone, I could be losing both my camera and my phone. At least this way, if I drop this, I still have my phone, which also has a camera. So if I'm sporting around my HTC 10, which is a phenomenal camera on its own, and I drop this, I still have a phenomenal camera. If I drop my camera and break it, I can still take pictures of my day out. With this, if you drop this and break it, it's a good chance you're not going to be able to use either one. Actually, if you break the camera, if you break the phone, you're not going to be able to use the camera. And if you break the camera, this phone takes less than spectacular pictures on its own. So, I do not recommend this. So, to sum up my feelings on the Moto Z XT1650, this phone should not exist. And I'll tell you why. I have no problem with Motorola. I think it's gone downhill, and I think it's going to go further downhill now that Lenovo is asserting its dominance. But here's where you go with this. This is $699. You will be much better served with any of the phones I have here. The HTC 10 is a much better phone, much better camera. The Axon 7, much better phone, much better camera. Now the Axon 7 is $399. It will have your Nougat update and is already on Google's website as being fully Daydream compatible, which Moto Z is too, and the Moto Z Force. But we have yet to see Nougat on this phone, and I can pretty much guarantee you the Axon is going to get it before the Moto Z, which isn't a big deal. Waiting for software updates, not huge. But it's a little more important for these two phones because that opens up the door for Daydream compatibility. You don't have that option for the HTC 10 or the OnePlus 3. They'll never be Daydream compatible. So them getting the Nougat update isn't that important, or there's no need for a particular amount of speed on that. But it opens up a whole new compatibility for a new system, for a new usability once it gets that operating system, Nougat. So having fast updates is pretty important. I don't think you're going to get that from Lenovo. Now, why shouldn't this phone exist? You have the Moto Z Play. So if you're looking for a budget phone, and I got to be honest with you, even with the Moto Z Play, you're talking $450. I think right now it's on sale for $399 on Motorola's site. You can still get an Axon, which is now the Moto Z Play has an OmniVision camera sensor, the OM16860, which is used in the Moto G4, that camera is nowhere near the quality of any of the phones here. So the Moto Z Play, big battery, but you know what? You can get almost just as big battery as you can in the Eco La Pro 3 at the same price. And let me tell you, the Eco La Pro 3, for the price, is actually a much better phone than the Moto Z Play, in my opinion. So the Moto Z Force, that would have been great if they just had the Moto Z Play and the Moto Z Force and just got rid of this phone completely. At least the Force brings you up to a better camera. It also brings you up to a bigger battery. Yeah, it is a little thicker, but it also gives you your headphone jack. Now, I just don't get the whole trend in getting rid of the headphone jack. I know Apple did it, so now I guess everybody thinks it's cool not to have it. But you know what? Yeah, it's old technology, but it works. It works really good. It lets you listen to music using your 3.5mm jack, putting into headphones, putting into a car system that doesn't have Bluetooth compatibility, and still letting you charge at the same time, which is huge. I like to listen to music and charge at the same time, whether I'm listening to it with my Bluetooth headset or whether I'm listening to it with my wired headset or through the car. So one of my favorite headphones is wired only. So I can listen to my headphones and charge my phone at the same time while traveling. And then when I get out of the car, I can unplug my headphones and have a fully charged battery. I don't have to make the choice of whether I want to charge or listen to music. So I get why Apple goes to stupid town and gets rid of it, because now they get to charge, they get to charge JBL, they get to charge Bose to certify for their Bluetooth version, their Bluetooth protocols. I get why Apple does it. It's a money-making thing for them. But I don't get why everybody else is going to stupid town just because Apple did. So there you have it. My video review on the Moto Z. It's got a great design, great size, small battery. The Moto Mods are stupid, and I just can't recommend this phone for typical use when there's so much better phones at almost half the price and have twice the camera that the Moto Z has. This phone, like I said, I get why you could have the Moto Z Play. It's a less expensive version. It's got the Moto Suite. It's a capable phone, great battery life, big battery. I get the Moto Z. I think it's a little expensive for what it is, but I get the Moto Z. I get the Moto Z Force. That has replaceable screens, which is huge. It's got a headphone jack. It's got a bigger battery. You have access to the Moto Mods if you want that, which I don't see the appeal any longer. I honestly did when the phone was announced and when I first got it, but after using it, slapping on backs, taking them off, having to wonder where to put these things now, I just not a big fan of the Moto Mods. But I get the Moto Z Force. The Moto Z Droid, I don't get. Tiny battery, inferior camera, no headphone jack. I know I'll probably get a lot of thumbs down from the people that already bought this, but guess what? You know what? I bought it too. Fortunately, I'm still within my return period, and this thing is going back. Cannot recommend this phone at all. It shouldn't exist. The other two, yeah, I get it. The Moto Z Play, the Moto Z Force, I get, but this phone should not exist, in my humble opinion. So, give me a thumbs down if you want, but that's my take on it. I think you'd be much better served with any of the phones I mentioned here that I have right now. They're all below the Moto Z camera, away on the built-in camera. The Hasselblad I have experimented with. I don't have any, maybe I'll take some stills. It's not that impressive. I think the HTC, it's nice to have a zoom, but overall picture quality, the OnePlus 3T, the HTC 10, and even the Axon blow it away as far as native, camera picture quality and speed of taking and processing the picture. So let me know what you think of the video. Keep an open mind. Just think about it before you vote. Play with it before you vote. But if you got to give me a thumbs down after that, I accept it. But that's my honest take on it. All right. Good luck. Take care.